Landscapes 4, Rannoch, by Glenn Coe. Here the crow starves. Here the patient stag breeds for the rifle. Between the soft moor and the soft sky, scarcely room to leap or soar. Substance crumbles in the thin air, moon cold or moon hot. The road winds in listlessness of ancient war, languor of broken steel, clamour of confused wrong, apt in silence. Memory is strong beyond the bone, pride snapped. Shadow of pride is long in the long pass, no concurrence of bone. Listlessness, listening, silence. This poem, the most austere of Eliot's short landscape lyrics, is a sonic topology, an oral mapping of memory and place that refuses the easy sentimentality of resolution. It's a poem about trauma, about the kind of breach that echoes through history, unable to be resolved into speech, but that is felt deeply in the shuddering body. It's a poem that asks us to listen, to attend to what hangs heavily, silent but reverberant in the air. Rannoch is a moorland in the valley of Glen Coe in the Highlands of Scotland. It's a high, lonely place where the still waters of the lake mirror the liquid changes of the sky, and snow lies in the lee of the granite hills, even in the depths of July. It's a place that in the mind's eye seems especially resonant at this moment, when so many of us are living in unusual and enforced solitude. The poem does not evoke audition thematically as do so many of Eliot's other poems, with their hidden laughter, their snatches of speech, song fragments, and bursts of non-human sound. Instead, Rannoch by Glenn Coe traces its imagery in a pattern of movement and stillness, like a creature settling slowly to its bed, weary but made restless by the heavy leadenness of the Highland sky. We're made aware of the crucial importance of sound, not by any direct invocation, but as a splinter in the mind's apprehension of meaning. As others have noticed, the eye and the ears seem to be at cross purposes when we read this poem on the page. When the poem is spoken and the eye recedes, we face another sense of obstruction in the poem's repeated syntactic inversions that thwart our attempts to anticipate the plain meaning of its sentences. Carried forward on a tide of sound, the ear acquires knowledge that the mind still struggles to codify. Substance crumbles in the thin air, moon cold or moon hot. It's this positioning of the senses at angles of opposition to one another that develops precisely the quality of attention that we need. Our senses, unsettled from one another, prepare us to enter a landscape characterized by breach. The poem, like much trauma, is recursive. Like the landscape it describes, its sounds mirror themselves, soft moor into soft sky, moon into moon, bone into bone. In other respects, though, the poem sets up a significant refusal of codes of mutuality and reciprocity. This is an unbalanced place, an inhospitable place in which the stag breeds for the rifle, its patience met with death, and even the crow, that battlefield scavenger, starves. As the poem says, memory is strong. Glen Coe was the site of a massacre during the 17th century. In 1692, the Jacobite clan MacDonald of Glen Coe were put to the sword on the orders of the Secretary of Scotland as a warning example for those still loyal to the former King James II. In a terrible breach of Highland codes of hospitality and protection, members of the clan, men, women and children, were murdered by the same government soldiers whom they had fed and hosted for weeks in the bitter depths of the winter. The disjunction and disbelief caused by this act of profound betrayal can be heard in the poem's sharp edges, its curtailed phrases, pride snapped, combined with the strange, almost dreamlike softness and languor of its longer phrases, as if the ghosts of the fallen were still too astonished to stake their claim. Rannoch by Glenn Coe is a poetic exploration of confluence without concurrence, of encounter without concord. It offers us the brutal music of stones tumbled but not yet smooth, the clamour of things tangled together and confused, and the sudden upgust of violent histories that bristle as they touch. This poem, shimmering with strangeness, is psychologically astute in that it asks of us that we listen, and in doing so offers us a model of exchange that could redeem the poem's own violent and violated landscape from itself. Listening is a mode of participation that is active and open, willing to expose itself, whatever chooses to come across. Genuine listening, like prayer, is an act of redemptive hospitality. I hope in due season we can listen to Eliot's poems together.